The Super Scary XT4 Story. Written by Roark Harris. Narration by Lance Cetchphish. Once, not that long ago, there was a toy named XT4. XT4 was owned by a small boy who loved XT4, and XT4 loved the boy. They would play for hours on end, until one day when the boy's family decided to take a camping trip in the woods. XT4, being the boy's favorite toy, was brought along on this camping trip. Once the camping trip was over, the boy and his family got into the car and drove away. On the way back, the boy looked in his bag for XT4 but could not find him, until he remembered he had left XT4 on a tree stump back in the forest. The boy pleaded for them to return to the forest to get XT4, but his father reassured him, "Do not worry, we can simply go out and buy a new one." XT4 believed his owner would return for him, and he believed that even after the first day, and after the first week, and after the first month, and even after the first year. It was not until a year and a half of sitting on that tree stump that XT4 finally accepted that his owner was not returning for him. As XT4 had decided this, he did not notice that a small boy had been peering down at him, and the small boy picked up XT4. At first glance, XT4 had rejoiced his owner had returned for him, but in fact it was simply another boy the same age as his former owner. But this mattered not to XT4 as long as he would be brought home and be loved like he once was. The boy looked at XT4 and then simply set him back down on the stump and said, "This is a baby's toy. Why would I want to do anything with this?" and walked away. These words destroyed XT4 as he sat there alone on the tree stump. XT4 was filled with rage as he watched the boy walk away. He wanted to exact revenge, but he could not, as he was a toy, and toys are incapable of moving. This, however, did not stop XT4 from thinking up horrible things to do to this child that had wronged him. And it was at that moment that XT4 noticed something. His claw had begun to twitch. It appeared the more rage XT4 felt, the greater capability of moving his body he would acquire. And so XT4 hatched a nasty little plan. And now it had become nighttime, and with night came a thunderstorm. Rain pelted the ground, bolts of lightning filled the air, and every now and then there would be a great thunderous crash. This, however, did not stop the boy that had wronged XT4 from saying goodnight to his parents, getting in his one-person tent, curling up in a sleeping bag, and going to sleep. The boy woke up to a very strange sound. The boy thought this to be strange. He could hear it despite the thunderstorm still going on. He looked around his tent to see where this noise had come from, but it was at that moment that he realized something horrible. His hands and feet had been nailed into the ground. The boy attempted to yell for help, but across his mouth was a long strip of duct tape. It was then that the boy saw where this sound had come from. It had come from the toy he had thrown on the tree stump earlier in the day. The sound was made when the toy would spin its little toy saw and with its mouth make that horrible sound. The boy thought, what on earth is that thing doing with that saw? The answer to his question was simple. XT4 had been cutting a hole inside of the boy's chest. The boy yelled out in pain, but yet again it was muffled by the thunder and the duct tape. And so XT4 looked at the boy and let out a shrill laugh. XT4 grabbed a straw, shoved it into the crevasse he had created with his saw, and took a sip from it.
I drink your pain. I think I'm going back for seconds. Tasty.
The deranged toy wiped the blood from his lips, and then plunged one foot into the open crevasse of the boy's stomach, and then he placed the other foot in, until his body was completely submerged inside of the stomach. XT4 crawled up the boy's chest canal. The boy was filled with pain. He would scream had his mouth not been duct tape, and then, all of a sudden, XT4 burst out of the boy's throat. And that is the fate of all children that dare venture into XT4's forest. So, remember kids, if you're ever in the forest and you hear that horrible verning ning 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 sound, run along and get your parents, because XT4 might be coming for you. I'm Donald Trump, and I approve this message.